Brain Reads is back to jump into some more Lord Brocktree. Let's jump in. Chapter 4. Lord Brocktree listened with amusement as Dottie unfolded her story. Well, sir, what with one bally thing or another, I was always in trouble back home in the mid-eastern hills. If a confounded pie went missing from a windowsill, or some beast had been in the cider store, guess who got the blink and blame? Me! Trouble causer, rabble rouser, scoff swiper. I've been called all those things, you know. Not to mention frog walloper, and butter wouldn't melt in me mouth. Fiddly-dee-dee, they say. 'Twas all because of my fatal beauty. They always pick on the pretty ones. I've already told you that. Anyhow, just after Grandpa's whiskers went afire and some villain tore the seat out of Uncle Septimus' breeches, my dear old parents made a decision. Here, cast your lordly peepers over to this little scrawl. Dottie dug a tattered bark-cloth letter from her arm bag. Brocktree's dark eyes twirled as he read it. Dear Sister Blanche, Cramsy and I can no longer put up with Dorothy, so I am sending her to you. Your Badger Lord has our permission to deal with this wretch as he sees fit. Short of slaying her, you may also do likewise. Please keep her captive upon your mountain until such time as she is civilized enough to live among decent creatures. Teach her to cook and other domestic skills. I know it is too much to ask that she be taught etiquette, deportment, and other maidenly pursuits. She is a fiend in hare's fur, believe me. Sister dear, I implore you to take her off our paws while we still have a roof over our heads, which are gray with care and worry. I would be fibbing if I said Dorothy does not eat much. She is an empty sack with legs. Her appetite would frighten a flock of seagulls. Grant our father and me this one favor, and you will have our heartfelt thanks. Plus, the beaded shawl Mother passed down to me and a flagon of our palest old cider from Cramsy's drink cabinet. Please write to let me know she has arrived safely. And if she does not return by winter, I will take it that she has settled into her new life. Cramsy sends his love to you, Blanche. I remain your devoted sister. Signed, Daphne Duckfontein Dilworthy. Brocktree had to turn his head aside and wipe his eyes on a spotted kerchief to keep from laughing. Dottie surmised that he was wiping away tears, nodded sympathetically. Some bally chuckin' what? The Badger Lord patted his young friend's paw. No, 'twas nothing like that, Dottie. I was restless, just like all Badger Lords before me. Leave me to leave behind my young son. Boar the Fighter I named him. A Badger son is his pride and joy when he is a babe, but he must grow up, and it is a fact that two male Badgers cannot live together in peace. Especially Badger Lords. For that is what Boar will grow into be one day. So I had to observe the unwritten law. I left Brockhall and began roaming to follow my dream. Dottie carefully stowed the letter back in her bag. Beg pardon, sir, but what dream is that? Brocktree unshouldered his battle blade and began whetting its edge on a smooth rock, even though it looked as keen as a razor. A vision I see in my mind's eye. Sometimes when I'm awake, or times when I'm asleep, it must have been the same picture that other badgers have dreamed. A mountain that once shot forth flames of molten rock, older than time itself, its fires now gone. Waiting, always waiting for me on the shores of her great ocean. I could not describe the way to Salamandastron, for that is what I know the mountain is called, nor could I draw a map of the route. But something in my brain, my heart, is guiding me there. I'm glad you know the flippin' way. I haven't got a confounded clue. Only that it's someplace down on the western shores. Oh, beg pardon, sir. Didn't mean to butt in on you. Bad form, what? Brocktree smiled at his young companion and ruffled her ears indulgently. We'll find it together, young'un. You're right. 'Tis on the western shores. In my dream, I've seen the sun setting on the seas beyond the mountain. But my feelings tell me that the place for which we are bound will have great need of a Badger Lord. One who will not shrink from evil and cruelty. A warrior, ready to stand and fight. Dottie chuckled, cutting once more into Brocktree's speech. Well, your jolly old feelings have no further to go look than yourself, sir. You look like the very old Badger to do the job. And you come ready equipped with that bloomin' great monstrosity you call a sword. Squinting one eye, Brocktree peered down the mighty blade. Its deadly double-edge keener than midwinter. Aye, methinks it will have its work well cut out when the time comes. That face, the one which visits and disturbs my slumber, I have seen nothing like it. The face that turns dreams into haunting nightmares. The tone of Brocktree's voice caused Dottie to shudder. Great seasons. What face is it, sir? Nothing I want to talk more about, young'un. Now, no more questions, please. We'll make camp here. There's a brook beyond the tall elm yonder. You go and fill this bowl with water while I get a small fire going. Come on now, Dottie. Stir your stumps. You'll have to shape up if you want to travel with me. The hairmaid sprang up, grabbing the bowl from Brocktree's big paw, and saluting smartly with a comical manner. Fill bowl with water. Yes, sir. 3 bags full, sir. Going right away, sir. About turn, quick march. 1, 2, up! Brocktree grinned as he watched her strut off, trip, send the bowl flying, catch it clumsily. She grinned back at him sheepishly. Good wheeze sending me for water, what? If you told me to light a fire, I'd probably set the whole forest up in flames. Not too clever at fires, don't you know? Brocktree took out his tinderbox, murmuring to himself, at least she can't flood the forest with a single bowl of water. But who knows? Oh well, at least she's company for a lone traveler. Flickering shadows from the fire hovered about the woodland glade. Somewhere close by, a nightjar warbled in the branches of a sycamore. Dottie scraped a wooden ladle around the empty bowl and licked it. Confounded good soup that was, sah. Can all Badger Lords cook as well as you do? Maybe you'd best fire my Aunt Blanche and promote yourself to head cook when we get to Salmon Thingy, what? Brocktree hooded his eyes in mock ferocity. If I do become head cook, I'll make sure that you get lots of sticky, greasy pots to wash, young miss. Dottie began rummaging in her bag. If the scoff tastes as good as that, I'll look 'em all shining clean. Least I can do is to render you a little ditty to aid your digestion, sah. The badger folded his paws across his stomach. Aye, that'd be nice. Carry on. Dottie peered into her bag as she rooted around its interior. Oh corks, half the beads have fallen off this blinking shawl the mother gave to me for Aunt Blanche. It's absolutely soaked with cider too. Ah! Here's me faithful old hair accordion. A few of the keys and reeds are sticking, but the cider may have loosened them up a touch. Right, here goes. Pin your ears back and get ready for a treat, what? To describe the hairmaid's voice as being akin to a frog trapped beneath a hot stove would have been a great injustice to both the frog and the stone. Moreover, the instrument she was playing on sounded like 10 chattering squirrels swinging on a rusty gate. However, Dottie played and sang on blithely. Brocktree squinched both eyes shut, fervently hoping that the song did not contain too many verses. I am but a broken-hearted maid, my tale I'll tell to you, as I sit alone in this wooded glade, yearning for a puddin' or two. I say hi hi, see hi hi hi, heen. I hi hi, see hi hi hi, heen. Whack fully, doddle ho. Whoops kung wang. The greatest song my grandma sang was to her family of 23. Ho, dish up the puddin', save some for me. 'Twas made from fruits and arrowroots, hard pears and apples too. Some honey that the bees chucked out, that set as hard as glue. Some comfrey leaf and bulrush sheaf, and damson sour as ever. She stirred the lot in the big old pot, while we sang Fail Me Never. When all of a sudden, Grandma's puddin' burst right out of the pot. Round as a boulder, not much older, 50 times as hot. It shot down the road, laid out a toad, and knocked 2 hedgehogs flat, splashed in the lake, and slew a snake. And the frogs cried, what was that? Oh dearie me, calamity, oh woe and lack-a-day. Without a puddin' to my name, I'll sit and pine away, away. Whack full holly, do ho ho del, day e. Dottie made her ears stand rigid on that last note to add effect. Fluttering her eyelids dramatically, she was squeezing the hair accordion finally shut when its bellows shot forth a stream of old pale cider right up her nose. Whew! That cleared my head. Shall I sing you another ditty, sah? The Badger Lord demurred, hoping she would not insist. No, Dottie, please. You must save your voice for another evening. Now you should get some rest. Here. Take my cloak. The hairmaid settled down with the cloak, swathed around her like a huge collapsed tent. She sighed. Funny thing, you know, my voice has that effect on many creatures. You should thank the stars that you were born just a plain old Badger Lord. That's the trouble with being a fatal beauty with a voice that's too fine to be heard more than once a night. It affected my dad so much that he said once in a lifetime was sufficient for him. Good job, you ain't like him, sah. At least I can sing to you once every night. What? Turning his back to her, Brocktree once. Well, perhaps not every night. Don't want to strain a beautiful voice, do we? Dottie closed her eyes, snuggling down on the cloak. Let's just say I'll sing to you whenever you feel up to it. Good night, Brocktree, sah. I say, can I call you Brockers? The tone of the Badger Lord's reply stifled any argument. You certainly cannot miss. Huh, the very idea of it. Brockers. Good night. Morning sun broke cheerfully down the little camp, the twittering of birdsong causing Dottie to poke her head out of the cloak folds. Blue smoke rose in a thin column amid the dappled sun shadows cast by trees in full spring leaf. Brocktree was turning oat kicks over the flat stone which laid upon the fire he rekindled. His great straight head shook reprovingly. Dawn has been up 2 hours, miss. Are you going to lie there all day? Yawning and stretching, the hairmaid lolloped over to the fire, muttering as she helped herself to hot oatcakes and mint tea sweetened with honey. "It's the confounded beauty sleep. 'Twas what 'tis. My mater was always saying to me when I came down late for breakfast, 'Taking your beauty sleep again, Miguel.' I say these oatcakes are spiffin' when they're hot. Well, sir, which way do your voices say we go today, what?" Brocktree recovered his cloak and bundled it into his haversack. "I think we should follow the course of that brook, where you got the water from. Sooner or later, it'll bring us to a stream." Dottie rescued the oatcakes just in time as Brocktree doused the fire and broke camp. Stuffing items in her bag, she hop-skipped behind him, slopping mint tea about, and bolting oatcakes as she breakfasted on the move. "Question, sir, why are we looking for a stream?" The badger replied without looking back. "Streams always run into rivers. Rivers run into the sea. That way we find the shoreline and follow it south. Sooner or later we'll come to the mountain upon the west shore. Save your breath for marching, young'un." By mid-morning, Dottie was hungry, paw sore, and had nearly talked herself out, though to no effect. All she saw was the badger's broad, cloaked back with a great sword slung across it in front of her. All her observations and complaints were met with either silence or a deep grunt. Lord Brocktree was not the one for lengthy conversations when he was on the march. Dottie stumbled, barking her footpaw upon a willow root as they followed the meandering brook. "Youch! Ouch! I've gone and broke a limb. The pain shooting right up to my ball of ear tips." There was no reply, either sympathetic or otherwise, from Brocktree, who merely trudged onwards. Dottie continued to lament to a ladybird that had lighted on her shoulder. "Might have to borrow that big old sword and chop off me blinking footpaw. If I find the right piece of wood, I should be able to carve another and hop along." Breakfast was ages ago. Ages and ages. I'll bet lots of poor beasts die of starvation, having to walk along for days and days behind a big old rotten badger who never says a flippin' word. Brocktree bit his lip hard to keep from chuckling. "Now, if I was a badger, I'd talk all the time. In fact, I'd make it my duty to talk to nice friendly hairmaids. 'Oh dearie me,' I'd say. 'Hurt your footpaw, Dottie? Here, let me cut it off with my sword. You can ride upon my back until I find a log to chop off and make you a new one.'" Brocktree halted without warning, and Dottie walked straight into his back, still chuttering to herself. He turned. "There's a stream up ahead, missy. You can sit on the bank and cool your footpaw in the water. That'll make it feel a lot better. And while you do that, I'll get lunch ready for us." With a deft motion, he produced a great battle blade. "I can always oblige by doing as you wish. Here, hold out your footpaw and I'll chop it off." Dottie shot past him for the stream bank, yelling, "Yeah, I'd chop off both your bloomin' great footpaws if I could lift that sword. At least it'd slow you down a bit. Lord Pawwhacker, they should have called you." The hairmaid's mood softened as she sat cooling her footpaws in the shade of a tree, letting the soothing stream work its magic as she ate lunch. Brocktree gathered some early berries and mixed them with chopped apple and hazelnuts from his pack, which made for delicious fruit salad with a syrup of honey and stream water poured over them. Then the badger gave her dock leaves and waterweed he had collected among the stream bank. "If your paw's still sore, bind it with these. That'll fix it up." Taking the badger's face in both paws, Dottie murmured, "Look straight at me, sir. Pretend I'm thanking you. Now don't look over, but there's a willow overhanging the water over on the other side of the stream. Don't look. There's some beast in there watching us." Brocktree straightened up, winking swiftly at her. "All right, I'll look further down the bank and see if I can find you some bigger dock leaves. Sit and rest. I'll not be long." Dottie could feel the watcher's eyes on her from the willow's shade on the far bank. Taking care not to stare back, she acted as though she were completely unaware of the presence of an eavesdropper. Taking the hair accordion out of her bag, she placed it in the warm sunlight to dry out. Then, dangling her footpaws in clear, cool current, the hairmaid hummed a little tune to herself, flicking the odd, secret glance across the stream. She reflected that she had been completely alone. A tranquil setting such as this would be the ideal place to while away the sunny spring midday. However, the peace was short-lived. Amid sudden howls and roars, the overhanging willow seemed to explode in a shower of leaves and twigs. Foliage scattered across the stream as two burly forms smashed through the tree cover and crashed heavily into the water. Dottie hurled herself into the stream, whirling a bag aloft. "Hang on, sir! I'm coming! Yulia!" Always remember to like and subscribe for more amazing readings.